Hello everyone. So in the channel we've learned many things about ancient Greek in general and also, the alphabet, etc. But there's a very specific part of learning this ancient language that will improve a lot your journey learning this language, which is writing, but not just writing with the help of a keyboard, but now handwriting ancient Greek. So if you want to learn how to handwrite those letters, if you study ancient Greek or if you study mathematics, for instance, you will need these letters at some point. So it's better to know how to write them. Let's go. So first we will have the letter alpha, okay? So the capital version of it will be like an A, as we are used to write it, in our normal Roman letters. And in the non-capitalized version, I write it like this, Looks like a fish, Some people like to think of it as a fish when they write it down, When you can even become a fish. If that helps you memorize how to write it, then all good. Now the letter beta. So beta would be like a capital B, as nowadays we still write it. And then for the non-capitalized version, I write it like this, look. Like you go for a small stroke and then back down. So it would look like this, if you write it even faster. So now the letter gamma. This is one we don't have in the Roman alphabet, so pay attention. In the capitalized version it is like this, like a semi-roof, let's say, if that helps. And now the non-capitalized is maybe more well-known. It looks like this. Again, like a fish, but now looking downwards. Now we have the letter delta, okay? So for delta, in the capitalized version, we will have a triangle. Okay, that will be enough to symbolize that we are talking about delta. Now for the non-capitalized one, this looks more like a D nowadays. And I write it like this. First a stroke here down, and then up. When I do it faster, it looks sort of like this with my own handwriting. Now for the letter epsilon. So we have in the capitalized version the same E, we know. This one from the Roman alphabet, but now the non-capitalized one will be like this. This is very famous in mathematics, especially if you study limits. So yeah, you better know how to write it down. Now comes the section of the tricky ones, I would say. The first one is Zeta. So Zeta is like a normal Z in the capitalized version, all right? But in the non-capitalized one, we have something new. So we have this. That's how I write it, okay? You can have prettier versions, like some people do a little shift there and then down, but in its essence, it's putting something on top and then down and like a little tail downwards. Now for the letter eta or eta, some people call it, the capitalized version, and this is different from the Roman alphabet, is like our H. That's an eta, okay? And for the non-capitalized part, you have this motion, this version. Some people do a shorter little tail here and then go down and then like that. But as I write it down, eta is like this always. So for theta or theta, the capitalized version, the one I like, there are many versions of it, is like a circle and has these 3 strokes in the middle, okay? It's not the most aesthetic one, the one I just designed, but most of the capitalized versions of the letter, when they go into the non-capitalized way, it's like writing this one but in a faster motion. So theta in the non-capitalized would be like this. Also very popular in mathematics. So now the iota or iota. So capitalized is very easy, straightforward, like our I in capitalized version. Some people don't put these upper parts, that's also fine in some styles of handwriting. But then the non-capitalized one is just this. Just this. So it looks like an I, right? But don't put a dot on top, okay? That's dot here, no, forbidden. Please don't do that. Now we go for Kappa, which is exactly like our letter K in the capitalized version, and it's a smaller one in the non-capitalized one. So this is pretty straightforward. Now for lambda, those of you who like Sparta, you may have seen this. This is the capital letter of lambda, you know. Sparta in ancient Greek is like a daimonia. So for the first letter of this region, that's why, you know, the Spartan shields have this capital letter on their surface. And now for the non-capitalized version, we have this. You may have seen it a lot if you study mathematics or physics. Lambda, non-capitalized version. Now for the letter mu. Mu is like our capital letter M, as in the Roman alphabet. All fine with that, nothing different. But now for the non-capitalized version, you have this mu. You may also have seen this because the letter mu is used, for instance, in measurements when you do micro things. Normally it has a mu in non-capitalized fashion. Now for the letter nu, it's like our capital letter N when it's capitalized, and when it's not, it looks like a V in the Roman alphabet. Okay, some people like to put extra, you know, details on this, but it's normally like this, nu. Now comes the tricky one. I think the one most people find the most difficult to write down is the letter C, okay? In capital letters, it will be like this, like a 3-stroke capitalized version of this. But now comes the real difficult part, when you have to write the non-capitalized version of it. So the way I write it is like this. C. It's not the prettiest I've ever made this time, but when you do it fast, it may look like this. I've had some mathematics teachers who do just something like that, which is pretty horrendous, so please don't do that, okay? Put an effort on doing. It's like the Zeta, but you add an extra stroke here in the middle. So it's like writing this capitalized one, but fast, so it's like woom, woom, woom. And you add a little tail at the end, so C. I recommend you practice this one. I don't have the best of angles, you know, to write down, you know, against the a solid surface, so sorry if it is not aesthetically pleasant, but the more you practice the letter C, the better it will look as time progresses. This one's pretty straightforward. The letter Omicron, which got very, very famous during the pandemic. O, like our letter O, capitalized, and the non-capitalized is like an O. Didn't look quite like a circle, that one? Yes, that's better. O, O, like our O normally. So now for the letter P, or pi in English, very, very famous in mathematics and elsewhere. So the capitalized version of it is this. This is the capital P. If you know mathematics, you may know this symbol quite well in capitalized version, and also in non-capitalized especially, which is like this, the letter pi, or P in Greek. Now the letter Rho, okay? The letter Rho will be like a P in capitalized fashion, but it's an R sound, okay? It's a Rho. And in non-capitalized fashion, I write it like that. It's like a smaller version of that one with a little tail in the end. Rho. Now the letter sigma. This is particularly important. If you like additions in mathematics, you may have seen this symbol. This is a sigma in capitalized version, but now for the non-capitalized version, we have two different ways of writing sigma. Like this. This is very famous in statistics. You use this non-capitalized version of sigma when it is placed in any part of the word except for the final letter, okay? Because when it is the final letter, then you add a little stroke like this in the end, okay? That looks like an S, but this goes below the margin of the rest of the letter. Now the letter tau, or taf, if you are pronouncing this in modern Greek. So for tau, you have just a capital letter T, as we would do in the Roman alphabet, and the non-capitalized version is like this. Now we go for the letter Upsilon. So Upsilon in capitalized fashion will be like a giant Y, okay? Like a capitalized letter Y. Now, some people do it like this in 2 strokes, as I just did it. Some others do it in 3 strokes. That's for the capitalized version. And for the non-capitalized, you do a little, it's like a U, okay? U, but you don't finish it. Upsilon. And now for the letter phi or phi, you draw a little circle, let's say. You don't draw, you write, but you put that little circle and then you cut it in half and add some little limits on top. Okay, that's the capitalized version. And once again, the non-capitalized is like this one, written in a fast fashion, so it would be like this. The favorite letter of philosophers, which is the symbol which normally appears in many philosophy faculties around the world. Now for the letter He or Chi, as some people say in English, it's like an X in capitalized letter. And in non-capitalized, it's also like an X, but more stylistically pleasant. You add a little tail there, and then you cross it once more. Now the letter Psi or Psi, okay? So the capitalized version of it, I write it like this, okay? You can add a little base if you want, and some other people, put some extra bits on this upper part, up to you, okay? Very optional. And yeah, and for the non-capitalized, it's pretty much the same, but I just keep it like that, Psi. And last but not least, the letter Omega or Omega. So in the capitalized version, you have this kind of symbol. If you study electricity, you may have seen Ohm, as a symbol, or in physics for the resistance, electrical resistance. And then for the non-capitalized version, you have this is the non-capitalized Omega. It's like a W. And if you're studying ancient Greek, then you'll need to know a couple of things extra. So for instance, you have a vowel, alpha. Where you put the breathing is here on top. Breathing. This is A. Now, you can do it again, and this will be Ha. Okay? This is only relevant for those of you who study ancient Greek. Now, if you want to put an accent, it is pretty much the same. You have your vowel, and you can have the circumflex accent like that. This is not very aesthetic. You would normally find it like this, or you can also find it like this, which is also more aesthetically pleasant. But that's for this kind of accent, okay? You can have also the acute accent and the grave accent. And now to put the accent plus the breathing, so you will have your letter here, your alpha, you'll have the breathing here, and if you have a circumflex accent, the accent will be on top of the breathing, okay? This is very important. Now, when the accent is either grave or acute, you'll have your letter, you'll have your breathing, and the accent will be on the right, okay? This is very, very important. On the right and not the other way around. And finally, also for those of you doing ancient Greek, if you need to write a Iota Subscript, let's say you have your alpha here, once again, you write it right there. That is your Iota Subscript or Iota Subscript. That's the way you do it. And you can add, as always, your breathing and even an accent if that's what's required. All right? Like this or like this. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this helps you, whether you're studying mathematics or ancient Greek in its own right. I hope that this, guidance on how to handwrite ancient Greek or just Greek letters is useful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll check them out and answer as fast as I can. Okay? So please do take care of yourselves, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, share it, and until next time, bye-bye.